un-CAPP It. It is a podcast coming from Ohio Northern University, and we're going to learn more about it today. First, we're going to have Dr. Rob Alexander. He is the director of Ohio Northern Institute for Civics and Public Policy. And then we have the two that are doing the podcast. We have Kennedy Ike, and she is a double major with political science and political justice. Then we have Hailey Trumke, and she is Ohio Northern political science major. And thank you all for joining us today.
Thanks for having us, Holly.
Okay, so Rob, let's start with you. And what's the Institute all about, and how, these girls doing the podcast kind of all works in with it?
Well, about 2 years ago, Ohio Northern University, and this has actually been many years in the making, we put together, basically it's a think tank. And we really want to get student involvement front and center on this. We know that the public is thirsty for nonpartisan knowledge. We know that policymakers are also thirsty for knowledge that the academic community can provide for them. They can't be everywhere and know everything at all times. And so we have a community of scholars and students that are working on a number of different projects to support all of that kind of civic knowledge and civic literacy. And un-CAPP It, this podcast is part of that.
All right, so let's talk more about the podcast. And Kennedy and Hailey, you guys work together, and you try to get current events and talk about that from your perspective. Then you bring in a guest too. So I guess, Kennedy, let's start with you. Has this podcast become something more than you even dreamed it would be?
Honestly, it has. I had no clue that coming to college, I would have the opportunity to work with this institution and create a podcast. So it has become a really great opportunity to reach out to some Ohio Northern alumni. I've made so many great connections with all the guests that have come through. And we've had some guests that I never expect would even be a possibility, like having Speaker of the Ohio House, Bob Cupp, on was super exciting. And it's just been a great opportunity to meet so many different people.
So Hailey, how do you guys pick some of your topics? Because, I guess it's stuff that first maybe you're interested in as college students?
Yeah, I would say that it's something that sparks our interest for sure, but we also try to hit topics that will always be relevant. So that way, if our listeners want to come back 6 months from when the episode is released, it's still relevant and they can still apply it to the current day situation.
So, Kaylee and Hailey, is it hard for you to come out and express your views right away? I mean, do you want everyone to know, hey, this is how I feel on this topic? Has that been hard for you, or is it a little bit easier than you thought it would be?
Well, we definitely try to stay nonpartisan throughout the podcast. As Dr. Alexander said, un-CAPP as a whole is a nonpartisan organization. But it's been really nice to be able to discuss both sides of these issues. And then it's been enlightening to be able to hear the experts come in, our guests, and they have more of an opinion that's their expertise is in. So it's been nice to hear what they have to say about all the topics.
Do you guys have a favorite podcast right now? One that was wow, that was a really good one, and that topic was better than I thought maybe it would be?
I would say our most recent one to release about social change kind of came as a surprise to me. It was the first one that we filmed with a guest, and it was our last one to release. So to see it kind of come through, we didn't really know how it was going to turn out, and it ended up being a really interesting topic. So I think that one was probably my favorite.
Is un-CAPP It going to go on for a little bit because you guys, are still in school? Is this a year-to-year thing, or is this just a one-time deal?
That is the plan. We're currently planning season 2. It's going to come out at the end of August, right when we get back to school. So we hope that it's going to outlive even Hailey and I at Ohio Northern with the Institute for Civics and Public Policy, because Hailey is going to graduate a year before me, and we're hoping that we can pass the podcast on to incoming fellows.
Yeah, I think that would be something great to do. Rob, are you surprised at how well this has gone and what your students have been able to do?
I got to tell you, Holly, I don't want to graduate these guys. I'm sure their parents are probably listening, but I want to keep them behind. They're just fantastic. But it really has been. And neither of these had any kind of podcasting experience at all. Shane Tilton, one of our communications professors, helped them out and got them moving. And they have just done incredible work from contacting guests. I mean, you and your crew know what it takes to put something on. And they're doing it from soup to nuts, all of it. And I mean, they have listeners actually throughout the world. It's a bit shocking, but they're global.
Yeah.
They're not just staying here in the fields of Ada. And it's also, they have a really good audience with Gen Z. And I think that's one of the key components of what their goal is of this, to kind of get Gen Z to understand, how politics is important and affects them, and how they might be able to affect the political system as well. So I couldn't be happier. Right,
yeah, get politics on the right track in the future, probably. All right, Kennedy and Hailey, keep up the good work in this podcast, and you can listen to it on Spotify. That's where I listen to it, and it's free. So thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right,
Thanks,
don't
Molly.
go away. Noon Edition continues in a moment.